Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records. I'm reviewing last night's Dead and Company show in San Francisco at Golden Gate Park in Golden Gate Park. Second night of their 60th anniversary shows here. We have one more tomorrow night. This was Saturday's show, day two, coming off of a kind of a remarkable second set last night, or 2 nights ago, with Billy String sitting in for Wharf Rat, and just a highlight, really, of some of the Dead and Company stuff I've seen. Let's get into last night. We had Sturgill Simpson open up. I have not had a chance to watch that yet. And by the way, I did order the streams, so I'm watching these every night. And I'll watch tonight. Last night opens up with Midnight Hour. I don't really get that at that point. It's during the day. Bobby on vocals. It doesn't really work for me as an opener for Dead and Co. I don't get it, especially when you follow up with Bertha next, which John sings well, provides some energy, and, it was kind of a pedestrian version. I mean, there was nothing totally special about it, but it's a great way to start a show. Instead, they open up with Midnight Hour, which was okay. Bertha's next. And then we get into Jack Straw. The way that they're doing Jack Straw lately in the last few years, it kind of takes the wind out of the song. It's one of my favorite songs. Obviously back in the day, Jerry and Bobby would kind of duet on that song. Mama, you're moving way too slow, as they say in the song. I don't like the way that they do it. It creeps along, it crawls along, and it's just such an amazing song to be able to play right, but it's got to have that fire. Once you lose the steam out of the song, for me, it's just an ordinary song again. Dear Mr. Fantasy is next with a Hammond, Jeff on Hammond, rolling through that Traffic cover. Again, curious choice for me. It's not particularly fiery, and it just kind of creeps along. They do a coda at the end of Hey Jude to finish that up. What I really loved about the first set was what came next, which was Passenger, a song that's not quite as familiar in their sets. Felt like they had some spunk there. I was just waiting for Don and Jean to creep around the corner and give some backing vocals there on Passenger. I really enjoyed that little dark, deeper nugget, and Bobby seemed exhilarated. The band felt like it was fresh. It was fresh. Again, after coming through a slow period where you do a slow version of Straw, you do a Mr. Fantasy that I don't need. And then Passenger takes things off, and really love that. Then we get Brown Eyed Women, which, along with Althea, has become one of John's kind of signature songs. Just such a great song. Pretty good version. Again, Sturgill Simpson opened up the show, and they bring him out at the end of the first set and do Morning Dew. And I don't want to criticize this show, and I don't understand doing Dew there. I like Dew out of a drums, or the second song out of drums, where you get that poignant moment that you can kill them with the encore. I don't get going into a set break with a Morning Dew. It's a great song. Sturgill did great. He had his red 335. But I don't need a Morning Dew there. It's too somber of a song going into a long set break. I want something to rock that, just like they put Billy in a spot on night one to crush Wharf Rat. And by the way, Sturgill sang the song His mic at the very beginning wasn't working, but they got that fixed. That can't happen. You can't put him in a spot where he gets to think about that for the rest of his life. I don't know. It was an okay first set. It was disappointing for me. And then we get into second set, and we open up with a lumbering and long Uncle John's band. There was an element of the other one in the jam of it. Again, a staple Grateful Dead song. One of my favorite songs. I didn't really like the way that they did it. It's like the sing-along at a karaoke bar type of version where everybody's just taking their part in it. It did not work for me, but then we get into the meat of the second set and they spring into Help on the Way. Again, one of my favorite songs. And a great version, up to tempo, playing at the pace that the song's supposed to be played. Really kind of nailed that song on Help on the Way. Of course, we go into Slipknot. Was there a tease of the Ghostbusters theme song during Slipknot? I thought there might have been. These are fun things for John to play. John has expressed in the past in interviews that this Slipknot part and Help on the Way is some of the most challenging things for him to play, and that's why he loves playing it. And then, of course, we get Franklin's Tower to round out that trio of great songs. And we're cooking now a little bit here, right? But then they go into St. Stephen's, and they take it up another notch. We want a St. Stephen's. The sun's now down. It's dark. The lights are taking effect. And Graham Lesh comes out and plays bass on the song. So O'Teal takes a break. They bring out Phil Lesh's son, Graham, who's on bass with Phil's big brown bass. They did that on night one, which I loved, for Box of Rain and playing in the band. St. Stephen's was great. At one point, they brought it all the way down to just a silence, and I wasn't sure where they were going with it. Built that thing back up. It was neat to see the interplay of another bass player. I'm a big O'Teal guy, and I have seen O'Teal with the Allman Brothers and Colonel Bruce Hampton Aquarium Rescue Unit, and just the Aquarium Rescue Unit. Tedeschi and Trucks on their first tour saw him. I've been a fan. I've met O'Teal over the years. It's nice to see another bass player sometimes. Phil's bass playing was so instrumental in the Dead and stood out within the music. I feel like O'Teal sometimes doesn't stand out enough and plays and accompanies the music really well. But one of the things about the Grateful Dead is the quirkiness and the lead playing of a Phil Lesh. Those are just my thoughts. Not criticizing O'Teal. Great singer, great player. It was nice to see Graham Lesh play. I thought it brought some energy. That was a highlight of the show for me, St. Stephen's. We go into drums, and what was cool is O'Teal immediately was on drums. So it was Jay Lane. In the middle, we had Mickey. And Mickey's now in his element. Mickey Hart is a sonic tone master. He is searching for the sound, like Phil Lesh used to say. And he's in his laboratory when we have drums. I feel like these drums are some of the most unique parts of what Dead and Company does well. It sucks that Billy left. It sucks that Billy quit the band a couple years ago. It's great to see Jay, though, there. I wish Jay would smile a little bit more. But it was cool to see O'Teal. And O'Teal was back there hitting all kinds of stuff. Mickey then gets up on his tone bar, makes noise, did a great job. Band comes back out for Space. Space was kind of fun. I wish it was a little bit more experimental, but they did seem like they were having fun. And of course, Jeff's playing. Jeff and John are communicating You know, watching Jeff play the piano and smile and all of his jazz elements that I should have talked about earlier, you know, even though when they're slowing some of these songs down and changing the tempos and taking some of the balls out of the music, there's still so much jazz stuff that I love that Jeff does and that clearly Bobby likes and John is a fan of. And yeah, they're changing these arrangements, but it's still very musical and it's still very good. You know, you go out of space into parts of Spanish Jam before starting the beautiful days between. And you know, I don't want to sound hokey, but you know, if you're not shedding a tear during that song, I just do, and I did. Jerry was known for loving his long epic songs, loving his multiverse songs like Ruben and Charisse and Terrapin, and of course his last epic, and it's really hard to talk about. His last epic is Days Between, and then we are in the days between Jerry's death and his birth and his death right now. To think that they never properly got in the studio to record that song is heartbreaking, even though there are some great live versions that Jerry did while he was still with us. Days Between was great last night. Truckin' comes next. I wish it was a little bit more exciting. It's a Saturday night. Crush Trucking. I don't think they did. There was elements of All Blues by Miles Davis, which they like to do, and tease some Miles Davis in some of the songs, and certainly Jeff Chimenti's got to be a Bill Evans disciple. But then they do crush Cold Rain and Snow, which came out of nowhere. I wasn't prepared for them to then fire up the engines again and slap San Francisco across the face with a Cold Rain and Snow. That's what I love about the Grateful Dead. That's what they should have done when they played Bertha in the first set. They didn't freaking play it like they were having fun. They played it like they were, they played Cold Rain and Snow like they were having fun. Like they were unhinged and ready to rock, and they did. And then we get Broke Down Palace as the encore. No Saturday night. One more Saturday night on a Saturday night in San Francisco. Just one more time. Why didn't they do that? But Broken Down Palace was great. Broke Down Palace, is an emotional song too. If you're a Jerry Garcia fan. Last night was okay. It wasn't a great show. It wasn't as good as night one, I don't think. But we have another night. We have Trey Anastasio opening tonight. He's going to come out and jam with him, I'm assuming. I think that there were some nice moments tonight for sure with the Help, Slip, Franklin's St. Stephen's run with Graham Lesh there, Days Between, Passenger in the first set. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the show. Fun time. Can't wait for tonight. Check out my channel. We only talk about great music here every day on Intersection Records. Peace out. See you.